Uber drivers and McDonald's employees teamed up to do a strike in LA a few days ago, and let's talk about it. But before we do, let's have a word from our sponsors.
And today's video is sponsored by Maximo, the rideshare automation app that allows drivers to safely and easily accept ride requests for Uber, Lyft, and Postmates. Whether you drive for a single platform or multiple platforms, Maximo's custom settings can help you drive more efficient, less distracted, and help you maximize your earnings. It will automatically accept one trip, turn off the other apps, and when your trip is over, it will end it, open the other apps, and accept the next trip, all without you having to touch your phone. Use referral code APP60 and get your first month free when you subscribe to Maximo.
Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and a few days ago there was a strike in LA that I did not report on because I found out about it a day or so too late. And now I am officially a few days late talking about it. I know, I'm sorry, but let's face it, most of you are out doing barbecues anyway. You're not here watching a much slender but could still be 10 pounds lighter YouTube commentator talking about this. But I figure this is kind of worth talking about because anytime there's a strike, especially one that gets national news like this, and this is on Gizmodo, as you can see, it was also on like ABC and NBC, it's worth talking about to see what went on and whether or not it was successful in what they're doing. I will say that, again, the strikes, as far as I can see and tell, are not going to actually be hurting Uber or Lyft financially, but they do not want these types of stories in the news. They don't want people like me talking about them. They don't want people like you hearing about them and talking about them. Therefore, I think it's only fair that we talk about them. And you can see the headline: Uber and Lyft drivers strike alongside fast food workers in LA, demand $30 minimum wage. By the way, this is in my neck of the woods, so I am very, very frustrated that I did not know about this. I mean, I try to stay on top of it. If something like this happens again in LA, people, please feel free to email me. I will do what I can to be there to live stream the event. Anyway, around 100 rideshare drivers protested their working conditions this afternoon in Los Angeles, engaging in a takeover of an Uber hub before joining up with a contingent of fast food workers from McDonald's who were striking for the right to unionize. The group behind the protest, the recently minted Mobile Workers Alliance, and by the way, if anyone from Mobile Workers Alliance is watching this, I understand you want to have your own little thing. I would recommend merging with Drivers United as soon as possible. I think one of your best bets in all of this is for all of these individual protest groups to all merge and become one, elect who's going to represent you, and talk to Uber, the congressmen. Figure that out, but you want to combine. You want there to be a big size. 100 drivers is definitely less than half of what the most recent strike at LAX was. But let's continue. Is associated with the Service Employee International Union Local 721. To our knowledge, this marks the first time rideshare drivers and members of Fight for 15, a grassroots movement agitating for fair wages among food service workers, have taken joint action. Besides combining physical ranks, a procession of rideshare drivers trailed behind fast food marchers and disabled a McDonald's drive-thru by continuously ordering fair wages through their intercom. Well, it is a protest, and that sort of strike, like, yeah, you interrupt business. So I don't think anyone cares if you're interrupting McDonald's business. As long as you don't block traffic and stuff, that's where the problem comes in. When I first started with Lyft, everything was perfect. I was making about $25 an hour, but then the system started changing and they started paying less and less. Linda Valdivia, an MWA organizer and 2-year rideshare veteran, told Gizmodo on a phone call. They were getting on our nerves, trying to make us do more rides no matter what the risk is. If her story sounds familiar, it's because drivers across the country have been making similar complaints, increasingly loudly in public and with hundreds of other drivers at their back. And that's why they keep getting attention in all of this, because the numbers are growing. I told you, I've been telling everyone, and I know people at Uber and Lyft do watch my videos. They don't comment on them, but they watch them. And I've been telling them all this time, don't do this. You want to regulate yourself. You want to make the drivers happy, because once they start going into the streets, once the media starts getting a hold of this, I'm actually kind of wondering, like, does the Uber and Lyft stock actually suffer every time there's like a strike in the news? Because that's the only valuable asset they have. They're not making money, but their asset is public perception and love and goodwill. And when stories like these hit the paper, it's not good. And by the way, it's funny that McDonald's is being dragged into this with them, because McDonald's is one of Uber's big partners. In fact, I actually hear that McDonald's is considering breaking up with Uber and doing their own delivery service. This might escalate that and make them want to break up a lot faster with them. Who knows? But yeah, Uber and Lyft being protested at the same time, that definitely makes a lot of sense to me. Earlier this month, drivers staged mass international protests against Uber and Lyft's business practices. Uber declined to comment on the protest because of course they do. We've reached out to Lyft and McDonald's for comment, and we'll update when we hear back. That's actually interesting, because Uber and Lyft has so far not hesitated to comment on the protests and strikes. And I think they actually have like a pre-written statement that basically says how they're always listening to drivers. They're trying to incentivize them in ways other than additional pay, but which would be more beneficial to them. And they sometimes even explain how the pay works. That's been their typical response answer, but as has been pointed out by many others, myself included, that doesn't look good for Uber or Lyft, because it kind of makes them look uncaring. So maybe their new playbook is to just not acknowledge it at all? Maybe? I don't know. MWA, for its part, is hoping for an even more ambitious $30 per hour floor, of which organizers estimate about half would become take-home pay and the other half would go to the sort of overhead expenses Uber and Lyft burden their drivers with by classifying them as contractors, such insurance, gas, and vehicle wear. Quote, "That be the ideal, to be an employee and not a contractor," Valdivia said, "but right now we're fighting for $30 an hour. That's all we want because it's something fair." Drivers United are asking for their 20% back. This is why you want to merge. You want everyone to be on the same page. And this is why it's tough to organize. I know, and by the way, people keep bringing up, like, yeah, you can't strike because you're not an employee, and it's like, look, I think we all know that, but I don't think not protesting is effective either. I think you should protest. You are allowed to protest, and, if it gets attention, great. Let's look at this picture right here. That's a real photo, and that's in LA. For $1 gas. Oh my gosh, gas up. Check out the Get Upside app. Get your cash back. But anyway, as for the decision to unite with fast food workers, because, yeah, I'm kind of curious about that one, Valdivia told the crowd of protesters at McDonald's, "We both have a common challenge, and that's the greedy executives that pocket millions and millions but pay their workers very little." She believes most Uber and Lyft drivers are earning below the minimum wage at present. Notably, the minimum wage in LA County will increase to $14.25 in just over a month, and a flat $15 a year after that. Now that's interesting, because this is a fight for 15 March, and apparently they're getting their 15 an hour next year. This is why things get complicated. But I kind of wish she had mentioned, like, yeah, it makes sense for Uber drivers to strike with us because they are a prime partner with Uber Eats. Uber Eats is even on the McDonald's bags. At least I don't know if they still are right now, but they have been for a long time. So, yeah, your McDonald's workers are striking. And by the way, in the news, McDonald's getting sucked up in Uber's media storm, which nobody wants to be in, which has been going on for years, but now McDonald's is now being talked about. That would definitely, if I were an a McDonald's executive, I don't know if I would actually do something about it. I'd probably take a wait and see approach, but that would not make me happy at all. Let's see here. They shut the doors, they went inside and closed the doors and the windows and everything. Valdivia told Gizmodo after the takeover of the Uber hub, but we didn't stop there. We made sure our voice could be heard. By the way, I don't disagree with the Uber hub people closing the door and locking it and everything. When you see like a bunch of people angry and holding signs and making demands, you lock yourself in and to protect yourself. You do that. So I don't think that was like the wrong thing for them to do. But I've said it before. these strikes, these protests, whatever you want to call them, technically they're protests, they will continue, they will grow, more people will come out, they might even team with other companies now, other workers, I should say, of other companies. So it's not going to end anytime soon, and Uber and Lyft would do very well to regulate before the government starts catching on with this. You know, I haven't talked much about video games, but I love video games, and loot boxes has been a very serious, contentious topic among gamers, where basically games become pay to win. Like, the game works to a certain extent, but to get farther into the game, or sometimes get through a game faster, you got to pay little microtransactions, $2, $3, $4, whatever. And people consider them predatory, and in many cases, the loot boxes are random items, so it's like a gambling casino. And legislation has just been introduced that would actually mark those games as adult only. And it has bipartisan support, and all this time, I don't feel sorry for the game companies, because, you know what, they could have self-regulated before the government got involved, but even the gamers wanted change, and if the game companies weren't going to do it, they're going to turn to the government. Well, here's the thing. Uber, Lyft, McDonald's, these are your workers. They are talking. They are shouting. They want this thing. I would recommend trying to figure out, give them something before they take it to the government, and then the government has their hands in it. I would prefer the government not be involved, but from what I see, they're not being given much of a choice at this point. But hey, you know what? It's Memorial Day. I got to get out of here so that I can have fun. I think you guys want to have fun too. Get a barbecue or something. But what do you think? Do you agree with the strike? Do you disagree? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even those $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon exclusive blog. Also, if the gas prices, like I mentioned a little earlier, are getting a little down on you, like $4 a gallon, check out the Get Upside app below. You get cash back on every gas purchase. Check us out at the Apptrepreneur Vlogs. It's another channel I'm doing. We're going to start doing daily content very soon. And if you want to talk to me or other people in this community, check us out on Facebook at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.